Live from Atlanta, it is the Renew podcast. I am your host, Kristen Andre, and a little tribute to SNL here because today with me in co-hosting duties, I have my daughter, my middle daughter, Mia Andre. And so I'm excited. We have no idea where this is going to go. She is the quieter, but the most unique of my daughters. And after last week's episode on the educational system and how messed up it is and how ticked off it has parents, I thought we need to do a little check-in. So we're calling this The Kids Are All Right. So we're checking in to see if how the kids are doing today. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you. I'm very excited. Thanks for driving me.
Thanks for driving me. I had to drive. All right. Now, first of all, I think the reason you agreed to this, because I know you don't typically do on-air stuff, is because you got to skip school.
Honestly, that's probably the best reason, just because I'm missing my first couple classes. I was like, okay, I'll do it.
See, that's it. That's all it takes. So parents, if you need help from your children, you just ask them to skip school. We are calling this a career shadowing opportunity. So, all right. So last week Matt and I talked, and a lot of people chimed in on this episode about the educational system and how kind of messed up it is right now.
Big time.
So as a kid, as someone, you're in high, so Mia, for those of you guys who don't know, Mia's in high school. She's a sophomore. And you're an academic kid.
I'm a pretty academic kid, but it just comes easier to me. I wouldn't say I like school.
So you've said before that you like learning but don't like school.
Yeah.
So in your eyes and the eyes of your friends, what's messed up about the system? What's wrong with it right now?
In high school, we pretty much just want to be super independent. So me and my friends all kind of want to do our own thing, but we're not really allowed to do that in current day educational system because we have to take certain classes and do different things that we wouldn't really want to do if we didn't have to do it.
So all right, we talked about this on the show, but I want to hear it from you. What classes, first of all, do you just think are stupid and don't really want to take? And your teachers are teaching right now, so they're not listening.
100%, I do not like the foreign languages. I applaud anyone who is fluent in any other language, and good for them. Like my older sister who's been fluent in it since like 6th grade, but I have no way of being fluent in any world language, even English. I kind of have trouble communicating sometimes. So that, to get all the credits I need to graduate, it gets really tiring after a while.
Okay, so is that because you started so late? Because I have a theory on this. Your sister started in 1st grade. And then we were in the Northeast then, and when we moved down to the South, they don't start language here till like 7th. Do you think it's because you started learning it too late?
I think if I were to start learning it like she did in like 1st grade, while I learned it in 6th grade, I would have done so much better, and I would have completed the pathway.
Okay, so that makes it. All right, now let me ask you this: what's not being taught?
I would like to see a lot more music classes, just instead of band, like the marching band and all that, instead of doing that, because I would want to play, I could do AP like guitar or bass or something, and I would love to do one of those just because it uses some of my skills that I would want to use in another class instead of doing like AP music theory, which I don't really want to learn about, or band. I would love to see more arts and music that I could take. All
right, so arts and music are they're cutting them left and right in schools. And I know you've got for those of you guys that are listening on iTunes and not seeing the live stream, Mia's got her Who shirt on. So I think it's safe to say you are not musically a typical teenager.
Mm-mm. I love classic rock, and I just got into like the Blues Brothers and stuff, so I'm getting more into the blues and all the jazzy type stuff. But I love playing music and listening to music. But given the classes that they offer, I can't really excel in that too much. But my dad is a musician, so that kind of helps. But
that does kind of help. It is you. So I'm hearing you did not get that from me.
Other than your 1-beat drumming pattern, I don't think so.
I feel like my drumming pattern is pretty solid. I feel it may be 1 beat, but I feel like it's getting there. Let me take some lessons.
Sure, go for it.
All right, so let's ask this though. Talking about school and education and arts, I totally agree. And people they kind of get ticked off a lot of times because they're cutting arts and cutting music and cutting all that stuff. But what you're saying is like, it's not really art and music anyway. It's basically band or at our schools, it's band or orchestra.
Yeah, they do band, orchestra, and chorus. Those are like the main ones. And then you can do like theater and stuff. Yeah. But that's like what they label it, arts and music, and they get on with it, which I think they should add more courses and stuff to it.
So all right, because your dad brought this up when we were talking about this show yesterday. He said that, or no, it was one of his friends, I think, Colin, that said that they felt like arts and entertainment is what's kind of keeping you guys going during this whole pandemic. Like just having like music and hobbies and things like that.
Over quarantine, I watched so many different series and listened to a lot more music, and it kind of opened my eyes to more things. Like having watched a bunch of old movies and SNL and stuff, that kind of opened my eyes to more opportunities.
Yep.
Instead of like, of course I love aerospace and all that, but then watching all those stuff made me more open to film and TV and producing and stuff, which is, I feel like they need in school because it gives you a lot more opportunity to do stuff like with like job wise.
Yep.
So I feel like we could do a lot more with that.
So it's all right. So we're already getting some comments on there. It's just saying that, well, Mitch is saying, and I know Mitch is really into music at all. Oh, very cool. Mitch said that there's a techrock.org, which is Stevie Van Zandt's foundation,
that's awesome.
And good for students learning the history of rock and roll. But these are the cool things that I feel like you guys don't have. You don't have anything like that.
I feel like I'm like one of the only ones who knows about that kind of stuff just because of my family, and that's no way reflected on my like educational system experience.
So what I heard you say is because you have a really cool family. Is what I got that.
Is that what you got from that?
That is what I got from that.
Okay.
It must be your mother. It's really not. With the music, 100%. It's really not. With the music, it's not. It's your dad. But I think you guys have exposure to a lot of different things. Some of these, I will say, I was not a big fan of the exposure to because, the fact that my teenager can quote every line from Monty Python and knows pretty much every original SNL skit and cast member, I don't know if I should be scared or proud. I'm really not sure, but it is entertaining. But that goes to, you sought that out yourself. Mm-hmm. And Diane just popped in the comments and said, explore doing a self-directed study. I think that's good. So Diane, Mia's stepmom Diane is watching, and she says self-directed study would be great. So you have the option to do that this year.
I signed up for directed studies this coming year, so I'll be able to pick what I want to do, which I'm very excited about. Okay,
so explain that to everybody listening, because I didn't even know about this until Mia's very like self-directed for sure. Like she kind of picks her own courses and kind of knows, she researches a lot to figure out what's going on. But I hadn't heard of this until you mentioned it. So what is it?
So at my school, for all the TAG students, you'll be able to take directed study.
TAG is like the talented, gifted. Yeah. So not everybody can do this. This is only for
more
people
advanced students.
Okay, got it.
And so we can take directed studies, and that pretty much is a class where you get to choose your own subject and do research and activities for that. You can make up your own assignments and all that. You just need a few different grades here and there. And it's like moderated by one of the teachers at our school. Okay. And you can take it and you can pretty much do whatever. One person did criminal psychology, which I thought was pretty cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah. So I could do history of space flights, and I can just talk all about the Apollo missions and all that, which would be awesome.
Which you can do for hours or days. Okay. All right. That's kind of cool though. Now, Mitch did chime back in and said, it is a known fact that kids that know music from the 60s to the 80s have more productive and richer lives. And the answers are all in there, as well as with Monty Python.
What can I say? In our lit class, we had a Monty Python demonstration type thing to show one of the things we were learning. And I got very excited because I could chime into the conversation and be like, well, Eric Idle here.
Were you the only kid that knew that, though?
100%. She asked if anyone knew it, and I was the only one that raised my hand and was like, I know a lot of their stuff.
So there we have it. We've got to be teaching more Monty Python in school. Yep. All right, so let's show. So school's a big thing. I mean, that's shaping you guys, and I do think families do as well. But one topic before we get off the school thing, because this came up last week, we did the episode on the educational system, and it got a lot of traction and a lot of engagement because people, as I mentioned, were just not happy with it. The one thing that kept coming up was kind of financial literacy and education. And I know we heard that from a lot of comments both before and after things. So what are you guys learning about finances? Because what we're hearing is people get out of school and they're like, I don't know how to balance a checkbook. I don't know anything about debt or taxes. What are they teaching you guys?
They pretty much only have like a semester-long econ class, which kind of teaches you investments and how all the cash and stuff work.
Like how deep are y'all going though?
That's in senior year, so I really don't know, but I don't think we're going.
So we're going to teach you this like the minute before you leave home.
Yeah. And the last time we did anything financially was a 1-day field trip to Biztown in 6th and 7th grade where we would get assigned a job in like a little town. So you could be like the CEO of Wells Fargo or something. And you could...
Because that's a job you get right out of college.
Exactly. So you could go around investing and you could learn about that stuff. But I remember nothing from those 1-day field trips down to Atlanta.
Okay. So I think that's part of the problem is if you're not teaching it in school, it's got to be learned at home. And not everybody has parents or families that have the history to teach that. I mean, I know you guys, at least with my kids, with you guys, we started savings accounts early. You're moving to the debit card checking account age, which is pretty good.
Very
I do that a couple years before they leave home. Very exciting. Mia's going to have her own little debit card to run around. Right now, she's still connected to mom's
debit card.
To my debit card, which is not as fun. So, I mean, my hope as a parent is by the time you leave home, which is 2 years, and by the time your sister leaves home, which I don't know, is a long time from now, but that you guys know how to, take care of yourself.
I feel like they should offer that in school, but I don't know if it would be a class that would be like mandatory to take. And
Do you think it should be?
I think it should be, but they can make econ like a year longer and do like a year-long class of a semester.
Yeah.
But if they do like a whole different finances class and you get to like choose it, no kid is going to choose finances over like AP sports history.
Well, why? All right, but people are going to have to do finance. I mean, I feel like financial basics, like Finances 101, personal finance, which includes debt, taxes, budgeting. I feel like that should be mandatory. I mean, as a parent, I feel like
mandatory. Given your background, you definitely think it should be mandatory.
Yes.
But like people my age would much rather learn how like Jordan Bennington and Yadier Molina are like best players in leagues, but they don't really want to know how to
reference
how to balance a checkbook.
Well, but you need to. I mean, no offense to Bennington, but he's not going to be playing for a while. I mean, he might be. We never know. I know.
Pretty young.
But he is young. But still, it is knowing that Jordan Bennington. All right. The only reason I know this is because you guys know who he is. Mm-hmm. For those you guys don't know, he is a hockey player.
Yep.
That plays for the St. Louis Blues. Mm-hmm. He's the goalie. Precious. Just precious. And we love him. But if 10 years from now, knowing Jordan Bennington's stats is not going to help you more than knowing how to balance.
Yeah, but no one really thinks about that at my age.
All right. So that's a good question, because we had this question come up. What do you guys think about at your age?
I would say the general population.
Yeah, let's take you and your awkwardness out of it. We'll get there, but what are most kids your age thinking about?
Social status. They like to go to football games and have a lot of friends and stuff, and not really enrich in big like normal things.
Okay.
They're more about popularity and stuff, at least from my point of view.
So and I think that sucks, for one, that it's like that, because we're getting like all the parents are chiming in, like they talk about loan costs and mortgage statements and budgeting and all this type of stuff. Nothing.
Nope.
So the kids, how do we help kids understand that the social status and everything and what people think of you is really not going to be relevant later in life? Do you guys even think about that?
Not at all. They kind of gauge their like how they're doing based on their social status.
Okay.
So most people do.
Yep. Well, and it's true, because I'm going to call her out because she's in school and not watching this. So I get a text from your sister, from my youngest, yesterday. And she's like, Mom, I was in the bath. And I'm reading it in her language, right? Yep. Just because this is how she goes, I was in the bathroom and these girls looked at me mean. That was the text. And I'm pretty sure that's how she said it. And I said, then ignore them. And she's like, well, I can't. And I was like, no, you can. Like, all of us have, like, she was so concerned. I'm like, no, ignore them. Go back to class and take a test.
Your advice is a lot better than my advice.
Yeah, Mia's advice. So my advice was ignore them. Whatever they feel has no effect on you. I'm giving this great parenting advice. And Mia goes, tell her I said to clock them. I'm like, okay, I don't think that's good.
Yeah, you vetoed that real fast.
I did veto that real fast, because she would have said, well, my sister said to hit her. But it's, what's interesting is, you're right, but I don't know how to shift that. Like, how do people, because I will say for you, and probably more of my friends are watching than your friends, but I will say for you, you don't seem that concerned with what other people think.
Oh, really?
I don't see it. Like, maybe you are, but you don't curtail your behavior based on that.
Yeah, I definitely pretty much could care less what other people say about me, just because I don't like how everybody's kind of the same. They kind of act the same.
Yep.
And there needs to be like an oddball, and I kind of stepped into that position.
So did you apply for the oddball position, or you just thought this would be a cool thing, or what?
I saw an opening and I took it.
I think that's true, though. But all right, does that help you? Because I do feel like kids are trying to fit in. That's all we try to do. I was the same way. I was totally the typical teenager. I didn't really get in any trouble. I left that to my brother. He got still, I think.
I can see that.
Yeah. So Uncle Alan, we're calling you out. We know, I mean, Alan got in all the trouble. Mm-hmm. I didn't, but I still did care, like, you know, what people thought, and wanted to do all the things, and, you know, be in all the clubs. But I think it was cool when kids can make a shift away from that.
I went to one football game in 7th grade, one football game last year, and one football game this year, and that's pretty much my quota, because I don't like how many people are there. Yep. And I'm just seeing like the same type of person, yep. which kind of pisses me off a little bit. But I like how people can like step out of that and like experience stuff that make like them unique or stuff. Yeah. Like no one knows about an Eric Clapton and George Harrison guitar battle over George's wife. No one knows about that, but I think that's super interesting. And or the Ruddles, the Monty Python.
Your dad is sitting here listening, I'm sure, just
let me tell you, my favorite Ruddle, Ron Nasty. Anyway, so no one knows about that, but I think it's super cool, and that's what I can carry on conversations about all day long. But no one can do that, and it kind of angers me because no one really steps out of that shell.
Right.
And I think people should do that a lot more.
So what's your advice? How they do that? How did you find the things was it just you found something you thought was cool and you dove into it?
Yeah, I'll discover something new that I think is really interesting, and I'll try to get other people to think that's really interesting, which they never really do. Yep. But at least I think they should like get out there and try new things just to separate them a little bit.
I think that's a good, and you have gravitated towards your interest. Diane just said most teens don't have their own boat. All right, so I'll say your interests are space, mm-hmm. sailing, and I would say classic music.
Yep.
And comedy bits.
Yep, pretty much.
You're really good at comedy bits.
Yeah, what can I say?
It seems to be increasingly. I won't have her. Maybe we'll have her do it by the end. But Chris Farley. What's the character?
Matt Foley.
Matt Foley.
Band Down by the River.
Impersonation is fantastic. It is in it, but that. You kind of need to see the motions in it. But I feel like I love the fact that you've dove into these, and each of my daughters kind of have separate, but y'all have really different interests, which is cool.
Oh yeah, big time.
Like they could not be more polar opposite, but y'all get along really
relatively well. Yeah.
I mean, for as much as sisters do.
That's true.
I mean, her and her youngest sister were literally doing like dance lifts last night in the living room. But so they do genuinely love each other. But I think one of the things that's been cool to watch with you guys is, and with your dad and I and everybody, y'all have different interests, but everybody respects the fact that your interests are different, that they don't have to be the same. That you don't have to like the same thing everybody else does.
Yeah, all my siblings, all 3 other sisters that I have, yep. we're all so different, yep. and we know that we're different. And our family compared to other families, this is not like a call out to any other families.
She's totally calling out the other families.
We like express how we're different from everybody, whether it's sports yep. or no sports or like interests, like environment or space or something. We all that's like our thing.
Right. But you let that be your thing. Because we've had, all right, so Eric just chimed in and said when he was a kid, he didn't care about finances either. And he's in finance now, but he did care about fitting in. But I think that's the differentiation. You care about pursuing your interest. You don't necessarily care about fitting in.
Yeah, because I was thinking like in the future, I'm going to look back on high school and wish I like did more that I like enjoyed, mm-hmm. whether instead of caring what other people say or fitting in or trying to be popular.
Yep.
Because I want to look back on high school and be like, oh, that was a cool concert that I went to, instead of looking back and being like, oh, I didn't go to that football game. That sucks.
Well, if you wanted to go to the football games, then you go. I think that's cool. Yeah. But it is creating experiences, because I'm really big on experiences, right? This is one of my things for this year is I feel like last year with the pandemic, it taught us that we need to do more stuff, not just have more stuff. Like go do things and have things. Because I remember one of we've done a lot of concerts. I remember one, and I was fussing at your dad about this. He took my ex-husband, who is listening, took them to Van Halen.
That was my first concert.
Her very first concert, Van Halen on a school night.
It's Van Halen. You can't miss that.
And it was what grade were you in?
Oh, I don't know. It was like
second or third, probably. It was a long time ago. So
right
second
when we moved
or
here,
third.
so probably second.
Yeah, so second grade on a school night, Van Halen, and they had nosebleed seats. And because he was there with two little kids on a school night, they got picked out and brought down to
the floor.
Yeah.
We were behind a big camera, which I thought sucked at the time. But looking back, that was like the best thing to ever happen. Because you see, we're super up close at this point to like Eddie Van Halen, may he rest in peace, and like all of them. And it was just crazy to see them. Yep. And of course, Dad was having a blast, but it's like the 50th time you've seen him.
Yeah, that's true, but it's an experience, and I think that's one of the things we can all take from this, and certainly something I'd learned last year. Wish I would have learned sooner during the pandemic is we spend all this time, and I do still agree wholeheartedly with everything we said and everything that needs to be changed in the educational system. And at the same time, if we are not creating experiences for kids where they can see and do all these things, whether it's through school or through the parents, we're missing out.
Yeah, I think it's good immersing yourself in stuff, depending on what it is. I'm not like going to football games is great, like for different people. It's just not my type of thing. But like immersing yourself in experience is really good, mostly to find like what you really enjoy.
We're getting a lot of people that are agreeing with the Van Halen call. So good job, Sean, with the Van Halen concert. But it's true. It's creating experiences. And I feel like to the extent we can start to do that with the school system, I kind of Mia, you guys obviously know she's here in the studio today. Mia is still doing virtual learning. That is by choice on her end because it works better in that environment.
I like the downtime I get to do other stuff, and I think it's a lot less stressful than being in the school building. And that's just, I don't know why.
And when she says downtime, this is when she's pursuing her hobbies. Like she's always coming down between classes, getting snacks and talking about either space or an SNL, obsessed with SNL right now. So Lorne Michaels, if somebody wants to pass this on to him, you got to write her in another 10 or 20 years because she's all over this. Like she has studied these characters
pretty much
like crazy. So what else can parents or educators do to create experiences? Because I know you're good at pulling them out and doing them yourself. How can other people help foster what people like?
When it comes to like educators, I feel like they could I don't want to say talk to their students more because they already do that and they don't really need to do that much.
You hate it when your teachers talk to you.
I'm saying like admins, not teachers.
Okay.
Teachers they don't need to talk to me. I'm good. But they can pick out things and use that for better opportunities via the school system.
Okay.
But that's just my idea. I have no idea how the school system works, but that's just what I think should happen.
So let's, before we get off education, if you could pick, this is one of the questions, if you could choose the curriculum to teach, and I want you to make sure you include finances, what subjects would you want taught that you felt would best prepare you to start working, to be on your own, to have your own career?
Finances class would be, it'll be cool. I don't think many people would take it.
You know how you have to pay bills, right?
I realize that, but we don't have to pay bills as teenagers.
No, but you kind of you leave home. Yeah. I'm cutting you out. I'm locking the door.
Well, I know that.
But so what else would you learn though? What do you need to prepare for life?
For life? Mm-hmm. That's hard. Because finances, of course, because budgeting and all that, which would come in handy, but
taxes.
Bringing back home ec. That would be pretty cool because I would love to learn how to make a quiche. I don't know why. I've always wanted to learn how to make a quiche.
I can teach you. I will.
You can make a quiche.
I can make a quiche. I could so make a quiche.
You heated up pizza in the microwave last night.
That was because there were leftovers. But I can make a quiche because your nanny makes a lot of quiches.
Okay, well, I want to learn how to make a quiche.
We will make
home
a
ec,
quiche
that would
weekend.
definitely come back.
Okay.
Different things that are arts and music, I would want a lot more classes in that.
Okay.
More, they have photography and they have acting, but I want to see something kind of in between where it's film, media, recording, all that.
I think that'd be fantastic. I know Isaac and Whitney going, yes, that'd be good. We need that.
Or in the musics with recording songs and stuff, because a lot of people love music and they want to be a music producer, but there's
Right.
there's nothing to like give them examples for that in school.
I think it's the exposure to what
Yeah.
the opportunities are, because I would say during the pandemic, more people turned to entertainment. Your dad said that yesterday. They turned to entertainment. They turned to music. They turned to TV. I know you guys made a lot of music videos.
Which was really fun, which I would have never gotten to know in school and stuff with all that
Right.
editing and all that.
And we'll have to post some. So what they did is the beginning, when the pandemic first happened, for those of you guys that didn't follow us early this year, they made a music video a week. So Mia and her sisters storyboarded it, filmed it, edited all that type of stuff. It was super cool.
We
to be able to
recorded
do that.
the song too because my dad has a studio, so it was really easy to get all the stuff we needed.
Yep.
And then we would figure out what kind of fits the mood of that song, and then we would film it and edit it, and we would like produce it pretty much, and it was really fun.
Yep. I think it's cool, because I do feel like the pandemic has, at least for us, made us figure out what's important and what we want to focus on and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
I like it. So, all right. So I have a couple questions for you.
Okay.
This one came in, and I think this was an interesting question that Matt posed, and I told you this one ahead of time, because so Matt and I were talking about this, and you know, this is a good one, and I'm really scared where you're going to go with this.
Okay.
What do parents, so we're shifting off school for a minute, what do parents worry about that kids don't?
Okay. So, no mean to call you out, but I'm
She's
going to call
calling
you
me
out.
I knew this was going to happen, and this is what I was worried
So,
about.
you really want us, whenever we're walking around the neighborhood or something,
Yes.
to put on our locations.
Yes.
That's a normal thing, but we don't. Why? Like, I looked up statistics
Kidnappers.
yesterday. I looked up
Oh, here we
statistics
go.
like yesterday,
Here we go with this.
and every trend, pretty much, shows a spike around where you guys were little, or a gradual decrease from when we are younger, and you guys would just like wander around.
I still feel like you could be kidnapped at any time.
Well, you could, but what makes you think we're so special that we're the ones that are going to get kidnapped? Speechless.
I still think, well, you're still not turning off location services. What
I
if
know
you lose your
that.
phone?
What if I lose my phone? I've destroyed like 5 phones in the matter of 2 months.
That
So
is
the
true.
location is
That
not
true.
going to help.
She's on an iPhone like 2 now because she's broken all the other ones. But all right, but that's one thing. So we worry about where you are. Now I feel like it's to keep you safe.
Every parent has their own like motive of why they're like, oh, this is smart because, but like none of the kids are like, oh no.
Okay. I don't disagree with that, because you have to parent the same but different, right?
Yes.
Like, I'm not worried with you that you are sneaking off or doing anything
Appreciate that.
nefarious or anything
Thank
like
you.
that. I'm not. There is one of your siblings that I am
Oh.
somewhat worried about her location. So I just need to track the location of everyone, because then I know.
guess.
And then if you lose your phone, or if, I want somebody to track my location. What if I get lost?
What do you get lost? Then ask someone directions.
Well, I mean, okay. Good
We're
point.
living in a media world now, Mom. You have to turn away from that eventually.
Good Lord. All right. So beside tracking your location, and let's not call it that, let's call it being aware of where you are, because we love you. Besides that, what else are parents worrying about that kids are like, this is stupid, why do y'all even worry?
I think like the people, like back to the education, again, the finances. No
Okay.
one worries about that at my age.
Okay.
You guys are all like, oh my God, budgeting and investing and stuff, but no one cares about that nowadays.
But do you get that you're going to need to care about
Oh,
it
we
later?
get that, but that's down the line. We're like,
You could have made so much money on GameStop last week if you had just...
I pretty much didn't know what GameStop was until like literally last week.
I know. Oh, goodness. We missed out. But all right. So what else besides the finances? All right. So I'm hearing is, since you guys aren't concerned with the finances, it is going to be on the part of the parents in the educational system to push that and teach that, because it's not something fun. Okay.
Depending on like what kind of person you are, a lot of parents worry more about like college and stuff, but I'm not saying you in particularly, but I mean sometimes, but like a lot of kids
Yep.
are kind of trying to live in the now, which I applaud. And I mean, I think about college like all the day, but I don't think that's a big thing that people worry about nowadays. But a lot of parents are like, what college are you going to go to? What are you going to major in? What thing do you want to go into? But no one really cares about that.
So this is one of the things that we're going to talk about in a future episode, and we hit on it a little bit last week. I personally don't think college is for everybody.
Oh,
I
college
don't
is
think
not for
everybody needs to go. So how can parents chill out on that? Because I felt like for your sister, she needed college for what you're planning on going into with aerospace. Yes, comedy writing, maybe not. So we're between two careers. So right now with aerospace, you do need it, but your younger sister may not. I don't think college is for everyone. So what do parents? Is that what you're hearing, that they're overly concerned with it?
Yeah, 'cause some people are just not good at school, and that's just how they are.
Okay.
And so they don't want to go to college. They don't have to do. They shouldn't do any more school than they have to.
Yep.
They could get their high school diploma and they could be cool. But like, this is not a great example, but Dave Grohl, drummer of Nirvana, singer of the Foo.
Yeah.
We
love fighting Foo around the Andre house.
His mom was a teacher and he dropped out of school and his mom was like, I know you're not going to want to do that because you just want to play music. So I feel like more people should be like that and like just let their kids do whatever they want to do, which a lot of parents do. I'm just saying, like, just keep that in mind.
Well, and I think it's important to know your child too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And it's, Mitch said majors don't matter. Honestly, which college you go to doesn't matter. It's just, it really is what it is. So I think that's right. I feel like it's a matter of figuring out what you're passionate about, what you do. Like, because for you, if you go into aerospace or end up as a writer or SNL, you're going to love either one because you are so
100%.
like obsessed with both in terms of learning.
I kind of throw myself in one thing.
Yeah. Like ask any trivia question on space or original comedy, she can get it. But the same thing with your sister. She is so passionate about the environment. That's kind of her gig, right? Yeah. Totally different than you. We kind of joke that my oldest wants to save the planet. Mia wants to leave the planet on a mission
Kennedy
to Mars.
wants to run the planet.
And Kennedy wants to run the planet. So one of the three, they're all different, but it's a matter of gravitating. And some of them take college, some of them don't. Yeah. I think that's true. All right. So what else? Anything else us parents need to chill out about? The general parents, not necessarily me.
Oh, it's not just targeting you
here.
You
can target me if you want to. I can take it.
At the moment, those are kind of broad and a lot of things umbrella under those, but those are pretty much what I can think of at this time.
Okay. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. All right. So we've talked about your passions being aerospace and comedy, which we've hit on that. So how do you find those? Is it a head thing or a heart thing?
Oh, it's definitely a heart thing. I will watch a movie and I'll get like really attached to that like character or something, and then I'll see whatever else they're in, which kind of gets me into another thing. Like, I've met a few astronauts, which made me super like into all their missions. Yep. So I know a lot about that. I'm really interested in how the rockets are and stuff. And then my dad showed me the Blues Brothers, and I got really into Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi. So I got into old SNL and stuff. Mm-hmm. I already knew Monty Python and all those before because of Dad, but then I got into all that, which opened my eyes to production and all that. So I think entertainment and like doing your own stuff can lead to a lot of different passions. Okay. Which I really like, because I can watch something and I'll get so involved in that and I'll be like, that's it. But the cool thing is once you experience and you found something that your heart's like, oh, I like this, you dove in. Oh yeah. 100%. And a lot of that's self-directed. Yeah. I do think there's something to this self-directed thing. Yeah. The courses of study and things like that. But you do a lot of that on your own. Oh yeah. I try to be very independent. I try. You are extremely independent. But yes. Yeah. So if I find something, I'll get like a couple books on it or something, and I'll read up on that, see if get really into it because I like it a lot. Yeah. I think it's really interesting. Okay. So you did get a question from Mitch. Wants to know your favorite Who song because he sees your Who shirt. I really like My Generation just because I feel like that's a really like pump up song, and I think it's funny how they were like really cold in the studio, so there's some stuttering in there just because they were really cold and they kept it in there. That's always fun. All right, the fact you knew they were cold in the studio though. Yeah, I was wondering what they decided, why they decided to like stutter in the song, and so I asked Dad, and he was like, "Yeah, this studio was really cold that day," and they're like, "He was probably making that up." No, he was not making that up. Okay, Dad is the exact same way, and he'll. Mm-hmm. Although I do like pictures of Lily because that's like a nice song. Okay. Yeah. I have a lot of Who songs on my playlist. The playlist is very eclectic. This morning on the way in, because Mia can't drive. She can drive, but I can drive. She can drive, but I drove in on the way in. So this morning we were listening to big bands. No, yeah, it was big bands. You had bands. I don't know. It said big bands of the. Yeah, you got it. It was like Sinatra. You can do it.
Shush.
Aretha was on this morning.
Aretha was on this morning, but I feel like there was
Cab
like
Calloway
some
was
Sinatra.
on this morning.
Yes, because
Sinatra is on my playlist.
these are normal songs that teenagers
Really
listen
nice
to.
song. That's soul.
It's the
kinda
teen
thing.
angst. All right, so I love the differences of everything like that. So very, very nice. Okay, so we talked about where you're passionate, so it's definitely heart over anything.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've got 2 questions that were just random that came in. Where do you see yourself 5, 10, 20 years? Or do you even vision out that far?
Oh, I definitely vision that far. In 5 years, I'll be in college somewhere. I don't really know. Hopefully, somewhere where it snows. Hopefully, Colorado somewhere.
Oh, she did not get that from me. Okay.
10 years, I'll be 25, so I would have like been on my own for a few years after college, which
Probably
I
should know how to do a budget and taxes by then.
I'll figure it out by
We'll
then.
teach you. I got this.
And then
Okay.
20 years, I hope to be like traveling the world because I could so see myself like living in a little like, well, not living, like camping in a little like yurt in the middle of Mongolia or something, which would be so fun to me. But my bus, I picture my converted van or bus or something going to the coast of like California and up to Alaska and stuff, just traveling.
This is my 80-year-old child, Mia, who's, you're an old soul trapped in like a little teenager's
I've
body.
been told. Yep.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so question for you.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a random one off the wall because somebody asked, I think Colin asked this. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Time
'Cause
travel. Hear me
Time
out.
travel. Okay,
Hear me
I
out.
like this one. I like that one.
Time travel, but to the point where I can't really change something because like James Franco in that John F. Kennedy thing like changed because he got John F. Kennedy not to be assassinated, which
Yes.
didn't end up playing out well. But just be a fly on the wall, and I could go back to like the Beatles on Ed Sullivan or Live Aid or something, or I could go to like the Harvard Lampoon or something with Doug Kenny from Sugar Falls, Ohio. But anyway, and I could be there, or I could be like, or I could see the moon landing like
Okay.
in real time, which would be so cool. Or Alan Shepard blasting
Yes.
off. Been there, but not at the time. So
Okay.
that would be just so cool to see, just to have been there, even if it was a fly on the wall.
But I think that would be interesting. I think that's a really cool one because not to affect history or change it, but just be able to observe it is
Yeah.
what I'm hearing. So this is, my dad did this, Papa did this. He used to always say, he was a history major in college.
Yeah.
And he used to always say that he would put himself into one of the, whatever he was studying, whatever time period, he would put himself in the spot of one of the characters and learn everything about it from that vantage point. And you kind of think that way too. Like you just want to be
in AP World, we were talking about the Mongols
Mm-hmm.
and like Genghis Khan and stuff.
Yes.
Before we watched Bill and
Before
Ted,
we watched Bill and Ted,
which was pretty good. I liked Bill and Ted.
I did make her watch. She's taken AP World History this semester and had not seen Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, so I thought that was mandatory viewing. So we did watch it. That's how I learned about. That's how I learned about Genghis Khan.
But like before that, I would definitely throw myself in there, and like if I were in like that time period, what would I see and who would I like meet and stuff?
Very cool.
Which kind of helps.
I think that helps. It's a good
Yeah.
way to learn it. Very good way to learn it. You're a pretty cool kid.
Oh, thanks, dude. Appreciate that.
No problem. You must have really cool parents.
Must be wild.
No, it's true that I'm obviously, you know that, I love you and I'm super impressed
hope
with
so.
you.
You know I love you, right? Well,
I've
hope.
kept you around this long. I haven't sent you back. But it's true. I mean, it's just, I love the perspective and I'm good because we always have, co-host and guest on that are adults. And you're adulting. I mean, you're mildly adulting right now, which is pretty
I wouldn't
cool.
say I'm the best person to talk about Gen Z as a whole, but I mean,
Yeah, we did.
better perspective.
We
than
actually had a conversation.
middle-aged
Yeah, we had a
person.
conversation around the house the other night about the generations. And Mia is, all right, so she is Gen Z, right?
Sadly,
so,
yes.
Sadly, Gen Z. She is younger than the millennials. The next gen that's just come out, the new
Gen Alpha.
Alpha is what
Yeah,
they're
they're
calling the
starting
new
over.
one. But she's a Gen Z. I would not base her. We decided that she's a cross between a Gen X and a Boomer.
I would say a young boomer, old Gen X. Just because
Yes.
that's kind of my era.
That is kind of the era. So like she should have been born in the early 60s. So that would have been good. But I do think you bring a lot of perspective because I hope and think that teenagers are thinking like this.
Yeah, I'd like to think that I'm very observant when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Because at school, I kind of sit back because I'm not that social of a person. But
Yes.
it's kind of nice because I get to kind of see different kinds of people and all that.
Yep.
And I can kind of put it in as a whole of our generation,
Yeah.
which is kind of sad to look at given the previous generations. But
What, you think your generation's more sad?
well,
I mean, y'all aren't going to be Gen X because Gen X,
I'm not-
we're pretty cool.
I'm not like, just like to call out peers.
Yep.
Not like names, but
Yeah.
we're all like
can do names.
really in our phones.
Yes.
I would say. Even I am kind of. I mean, I listen to music most of the time with my phone, but like I just think we could look up every once in a while.
Do you feel that phones have hurt communication? Like conversations like this? Like where we can, because you and I'll just sit and talk and we'll have, these are normal conversations. These aren't anything that you and I wouldn't have at home, or your dad or Diane wouldn't have at home. Do you think other kids do that?
I think at least the people that I talk to, they know how to like turn off their phone and like listen, but I think more people should do that because it opens your eyes to more things that you could be looking at.
Yep.
But this is a cool little thing. On the boat, we saw like 3 like Army helicopters fly over the lake, and like that's not something you see every day. It was so cool because they were flying so close to the lake, and Dad was like, "Oh my God, look!" And Kennedy was down in the cabin, and we had to call her up so she could see it, but she was like on her phone. She would have missed it.
Yeah.
So that's
I think
like
people miss a lot of things on their phone.
fun things you could be seeing. You like miss out on your phone, and I'm definitely guilty of that sometimes.
I think we all are.
Yeah.
We all are. But I think that's good advice is to be able to create grab the experiences and do very cool stuff like that. Nice. All right. So I have one question before you as we close. And this is a great question that was just posed on Facebook. So you don't won't have any time to think of this one.
Oh boy.
I like it though. If you can have dinner with 4 people, living or dead, who would they be?
Oh, that's fun. Okay. Paul McCartney.
I knew that one was coming.
Paul McCartney. Probably Neil Armstrong.
Okay.
I would want to throw maybe Farley or Belushi. One of those two.
that was who I was thinking.
Because they're both very energetic, and I would want to. I would want to. Well, Farley, a whole nother level. One of those, and probably someone in a character. So I would either choose some of my influences, such as Bob Odenkirk, but doing like his Van Hammersley thing, which would be awesome, just to have a fun little character in there.
Okay.
Or like Chris Guest, but he's doing like Nigel Tufnell from Spinal Tap or something. Just like another character.
Again, she's not your typical 15.
Or like, or someone from a show I'm watching, which would be like I'm watching Silicon Valley right now. So like Jared, who's played by Zach Woods or something, he's like super nice and stuff. So that would just be a fun little contrast.
3
of
real
characters.
people and a character. And I love how diverse they are.
Yeah.
That's very
Because
cool.
I want to get a tidbit of everybody.
I think that's good. And that's really how the world is you're pulling different influences all in together
Oh yeah.
and do that. I love it. I love it. I think this was fun.
I thought it was really fun.
I know you did. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
So no, it's fun, and I think these are conversations we need to have. And we've seen a bunch of comments come through about doing interviews and having these type of conversations. So we might just have to have Mia back. We'll have to come up with some new topics that we can do as I spill my drink. But we'll have to have her back and come up with some cool new topics that we could talk about.
Yeah,
But you've shed a lot of light. I mean, I knew these things, but I think it was helpful for everybody listening to kind of hear what the younger generation, the next gen, is talking about.
To our listener, sorry about calling out my generation and everybody else's generation, but whoops.
But it's true, because we have to know what we're screwing
That's
up
true.
if we don't want to repeat it, right?
Yeah.
History, we need to know where we're messing up.
History has its eyes on you. Sorry, a little Hamilton for you guys.
Yeah, so we didn't even get into the movies, or the plays. All right, thank you, my dear. Love you.
I had fun.
I'm
Thank you.
glad you were here. And And you guys listen, thank you so much for the questions and the comments. So I think this has been fun. And I would encourage all you guys listening, if you've got kids, have real conversations, figure out what makes them tick and what they're interested in, so you can help them create experiences and do things that'll help them learn more, get more curious, and grow. So we will see you guys next Tuesday. And until then, we are signing off.